Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of Peabody, Linfield, and North Reading, Massachusetts. It's the voice of Peabody Women's Hockey, Bernie Parisi, providing the call as your Peabody, Linfield, North Reading Tanners will take on Whitman-Hanson Silver Lake in the first round of the MIA State Tournament, the first state tournament that either team has played in over a year and a half, the last tournament being played in 2020 before the outset of the pandemic, of course. Tanners come into this tournament 15 wins, 4 losses, 1 tie. They have 31 points overall in the year, 81 goals for, 28 allowed on the season against the visiting Whitman-Hanson Silver Lake team. Don't have their team nickname at the moment, I do apologize. 11-9 on the season, ranks number 18 in the state to the Tanners 15 with 22 points, 77 goals scored, and 64 goals allowed. So a team that can put the puck in the net, but seems to recently have trouble keeping the puck out of the net from their opponents. They are playing with I believe the stat sheet is correct, an 8th grade goaltender, that being Sadie Watchhorn, but we will get into the players to watch in a moment as both teams are now taking the ice here at McVan O'Keefe Arena in Peabody, Massachusetts. Get yourself strapped in for a classic playoff matchup. The Tanners continuing the tradition of their 3rd consecutive opening round playoff game here at home, dating back to 2019 when they played Winthrop here at the cozy confines of the Van, as Whitman-Hanson takes the ice in red and white, Tanners in blue and white. So players to watch in this game overall, we're going to go with the visiting Whitman-Hanson Silver Lake team. We're just going to be calling them Whitman-Hanson for the time being, just to save some time. Players to watch, Sadie Watchhorn, number 3, unconventional number for a goaltender. However, she likely will change, I'm guessing, in the future. She is if I'm not mistaken from my research online, a 2026 graduate year, which means she is an 8th grader for a team that, if we're talking about numeric size of the roster, Peabody outnumbers them nearly 2-1. She is a 8th grade goaltender. The only listed goaltender on the roster has allowed, that means 64 goals this season. However, her offense has been keeping them in many of their games this season to get them above 500. When the player on offense to watch for Whitman-Hanson, number 5, Shay Kelleher. Kelleher, from what I found on MassHighSchoolHockey.com, leading the team in goals and assists. Then we flip down the end of the ice to the Peabody Tanners in white and blue. Players to watch, well, if you got a few minutes, we'll talk about them. Penny Spack, Sarah Powers, Katie Campersall, Jenna Dinapoli, all players to watch on offense and defense, that is. Also, we'll get into actually the goaltending situation in a moment, but let's highlight the stars on offense and defense. Penny Spack, what a breakout year it has been for junior number 19 from Peabody, Massachusetts. Freshman year, out of position, played as a forward, didn't see hardly any playing time. I think scored a couple goals in an early season blowout win. And then in her sophomore year, took over for Carolyn Garofoli, who graduated from Linfield High School, I believe, and then went on to UNH. And she filled in that role without hesitation and without any problems whatsoever. Scored a couple goals in her sophomore year, and since then, this season, she has nearly quadrupled her goal totals from last season. She's on a scoring pace so far that has been unrivaled by most defensemen. She scored a hat trick at Medford Malden near the end of the season. She claimed the lone goal in the season-ending win against HPNA, a team which I believe is ranked currently in the top 10 of Division I women's hockey. So she has been a defensive force, but more so as an offensive weapon, something the Tanners have been looking for dearly since the graduations of players like Garofoli or former Tanner number 12 Chloe Shapley, who is one of the best defenders this team has ever had. Then we get to the forward group. Sarah Powers, Katie Campersall, and Jenna Dinapoli. That's all that need to be said, folks. Powers, one of undoubtedly the best freshmen in the state of Massachusetts, leading the team in goals and assists, I believe, near the tops of the NEC or the local rankings in terms of points overall and goals. Katie Campersall, the sophomore sensation from last season, who was a freshman at the time, continuing her scoring pace and her growth as an all-around player, in addition to just her offensive skills, has really come into her own as a pretty good back-checking defensive forward. Then there's Jenna Dinapoli, who we said for a year or two was one of the smallest players in the entire NEC, if not probably the state. So her size, very deceiving, however. She can score goals in bunches, and she can sure rack up the points. One of the leading point scorers and goal scorers for the Tanners this season, cracking 50 career points this season alone. And now we're going to get to the goaltending situation for the Tanners. Now, I was given by the PA announcer here at McVan, I was given the score sheet listing the starting lineups. So if this is not mistaken, for Whitman-Hanson, it's going to be Sadie Watchorn in net, and on the wings and center, Bridget Cardarelli, Lily Ulvila, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, Abby Powers, and then on defense, Kendall Peterson and Jocelyn Moore. The starting for the Tanners is going to be the Buckleys. On D and forward, Ava and Leah Buckley, twin sisters. Katie Campersall at right wing. At left wing, Sarah Powers, number 10. And this is the shock, if this is accurate. Starting in net for the Tanners is not the senior veteran, Audrey Buckley. It is freshman Elise Moody, number 30, getting her first career playoff start in her first season. Gotta wonder how Buck feels about that. She was the starter all last season, went 11-1, minus one game missed due to COVID. And she has been the starter for the majority of the games, I think, this season, although they have been pretty evenly splitting the starts. Moody has really proven that she could be the future of the position for the Peabody Tanner. She has stepped into the role as a freshman. You wouldn't know by the way she's playing this. She's a freshman. Rarely shows any stress. Rarely shows that she's flustered, and I think she might be perfect record on the season. I can't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure she might be. If she isn't, it's just a single loss on her record. So Moody will get the start. It's either Moody or Moody, so probably going to say both throughout the game, folks. So if your family is listening in on this game, I do deeply apologize. But the Tanners overall, 81 goals scored, 28 allowed. Whitman-Hanson, 77 scored, 64 allowed. So, Tanner's strategy, and I think this is really something that Roach probably, that being head coach Michelle Roach, in her, I believe, 7th season behind the bench. She will be taking over the women's lacrosse program at the high school this season, by the way, in the spring. If I'm not mistaken, the Tanners have really been struggling to score goals during crucial games at points this season. I don't want to say they played a soft schedule, but the NEC is a relatively top-heavy conference. It's Peabody and Winthrop, who, by the way, for the first time have finally dethroned the Tanners as the NEC champions this year with a 17-0-1 record. The Vikings finished first overall. The Tanners, in games against the top-heavy opponents, Winthrop, they beat Beverly Danvers pretty handily, but other than that, it's like Winthrop, teams like Malden Catholic. I believe they played against HPN. They played against HPNA the last game of the season, and these are teams that are ranked in the top 15 or maybe even the top 10, and they had struggles scoring goals against these teams. So, but they should be very aware of the fact that Whitman-Hanson's defensive situation clearly is not grade A. It's not perfect, but so they can probably put some good pucks in the net. But the thing is, what they got to do, they got to score first and score often. That first goal has never been more important in Tanner history, in my opinion, coming into this game, because in the playoffs, anything can happen, folks. For Whitman-Hanson, it's also put the puck on net and put it on net often. Moody is an untested playoff goaltender. She proved herself in the regular season against some top competition. However, as the buzzer's about to go in a second, she's proven herself in regular season competition, but she is a freshman starting a playoff game. However, her tendency to not show when the nerves might be getting to her might play to her advantage as this game continues. She is a goaltender that will stay cool, calm, and collected under fire. As for Whitman-Hanson, they are playing the role of David today, and the Tanners are playing the role of Goliath, trying to take down the giant that is the Peabody Tanner women's hockey team. As we're going to go to pregame introductions in just a moment, we're going to send it down to ice side with the Peabody PA announcer introducing the starting lineups. And welcome back behind the microphone for Peabody TV with my camera operator, Rafael Enriquez. Always a pleasure to work with you, Raf. I'm Bernie Parisi of Peabody TV, the voice of Peabody women's hockey, or at least self-proclaimed. I have been doing it for going on 4 or 5 seasons now. But just to bring you a little detail about our setup today, we couldn't get the start date of the game in time to put together a big camera setup, so we will be doing a single camera setup right now. We don't have the production van, so we won't have the bottom of the screen scoreboard, so I will be periodically giving out the time and the current score for any viewers who are just now tuning in. So you'll have to really pay attention to what I'm saying in this broadcast. I do apologize. I know my voice can be annoying. Don't look at me like that, Raph. I'm very self-deprecating. You know that. And any of the viewers know that as well. So, playoff hockey about to begin in Peabody, Massachusetts. It's the best time of year, in my opinion, when the state tournament has returned to Peabody, Mass, folks. Took a year off due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Teams played in-conference tournaments or postseason summer leagues, but finally, playoff hockey is back, and anything can happen in playoff time of the year. The Tanners take the ice. Whitman-Hanson, numerically the smaller team in terms of roster size. Tanners outnumbering them, but then again, they do have a lot of role players on the bench that will get maybe ice time if there's a high score. So Watchorn goes to the net. Elise Muty goes to the net on the draw. Ava Buckley with Abby Powers. Three linesmen are set, and we are underway. Draw comes back towards the Tanner bench, and Campersall goes to get it. Spins, flips it up ice, little chip play off the boards. Powers is out with the Buckleys, Leah and Ava, with Catherine Sweeney. And Campersall flipped up. Campy chips it off the boards, tries to put on the Jets and get to it, but cannot. Flipped back in by Whitman-Hanson. Hanson brings it in, looking in the slot, trying to get a shot off, and her first save of the game by Elise Muty from the slot. So, Raph, I do apologize if I am screaming in your headset, but you know how I announce games by this point. Along the boards battle, it goes back behind the net. Catherine Sweeney, the senior, playing her final home game in a Tanner blue and white uniform. Native of Linfield, or currently from Linfield, Massachusetts. Originally native of Winthrop, Mass. Powers, here she comes, up ice. Powers up the wing, brings it in, looks, dumps it down low instead. Can't find a lane, and she'll go off for a change. Campy tries to dump it off the boards around behind. Dinapoli flipped to the front, and score! Campersall! 1-0 Tanners! 1:14 into the game. Katie Campersall, in her first ever playoff game, has put the Tanners up 1-0. If that's how this game's going to go, folks, if they're scoring that early and often, it's going to be a long evening for Whitman-Hanson. They did end up finishing 11-9 on the year, so that proves they can hang with opponents. They beat some pretty good teams from what I saw online. But either way, the Tanners are leading 1-0 on the goal by sophomore number 3, Katie Campersall. Whitman-Hanson trying to answer the bell. They had a shot earlier, so clearly they can finesse through. Here comes, I believe that's Kelleher. That was Shea Kelleher, number 5. Flip to the corner. Tanners go to get it. Chloe Gromko, number 21. Freshman sister of junior Hannah Gromko, both from, I believe, North Reading, Mass. Flip down into the neutral. Back to chase is Hannah Gromko, and nothing comes from it. Dinapoli gives back to Penny Spack, the most offensive defenseman on this Tanner team, with at least 7 or 8 goals on the season so far. Sorry for the voice crack on that goal, folks. I'll try to not do that anymore. Gromko, sick lips and trying to fight her way through. It is kept in onside, flipped on net. But goes around behind, and chasing was Hannah Gromko. Or excuse me, that is Shirley Whitmore, number 12. So the Tanners employing 3 lines this evening. Whitmore is out with Vanessa Steinmeier, and taking a hit and a tumble was Alexa Pepper. So it is an all, I believe, freshman line currently. Steinmeier, Whitmore, and Pepper. Here they come through the corner, around the edges. Steinmeier watches it go back down, and racing to get it is Leah Buckley. Alexa Pepper is with her. There's endless amounts of talent in the freshman pool for the Tanners this season. Players coming through in big situations, stepping up for what was originally expected to be a depleted roster in terms of skill when the season began. And it's going to be blown offside, and we'll have a face-off closest to the Tanner bench. So for those of you just now tuning in, we're a minute and 14 into the game. It was Katie Campersall on a net mouth scramble, backhanding it into the net for her first career playoff goal in her first career playoff game. Back down they go. Here comes Powers on the ice. Powers has some room and fights her way by. Backhander hit the post with the shot. Just about an inch and a half of steel. But to the fans in attendance, it looks like a utility pole. Lobbed back up along the boards. Scrum with it. Powers looking to get it along the boards. Can't be. Backhands to the middle. Can't do it. Sweeney drive wide of the post. Buckley flips in for Campersall. Campersall takes her time, looks, flips it down low. Powers can't corral. It goes off the end boards and will go the length of the ice for an icing. So Elise Muty, one save to her credit so far. Sadie Watchhorn has a save or two to her credit. Tanner's nearly making it 2-0 right there on a puck that hit the post. Could have been Campersall's second of the game. Ella Chase is on with Jenna Dinapoli and Hannah Gromko. So Chase, as predicted in the preseason, has moved up a line. She exhibited great development and offensive skill in her sophomore year. So good to see her getting rewarded for her efforts throughout the season. Back into the zone. Whitman-Hanson had some time to corral. Here comes Kelleher. Kelleher moves it up with Chloe Duff to her right. Looking down low, trying to backhand in front, and they score! We are tied at 1! 10:35 left in the first. I think it was Kelleher who backhanded it by. Muty didn't know where it was. We have ourselves a hockey game in Peabody. They can score, folks. They scored 77 on the regular season. And this is a Tanner goaltender who has never played playoff hockey in her career to this point. And again, she's only been playing for a year. So it is Shea Kelleher on the goal. 1-1, we are tied. Back up to Gromko. Slapper flutters down. Oh, nearly getting a call was Whitman-Hanson for a hip check, and they won't get it. Flipped up ahead, intercepted. Oh, great move by Kelleher. Here comes Kelleher on net. Bunted wide off the stick of Moody. This game's already exciting. We're not even through the first 6 minutes of the game. Back along the boards. Too far for Spack, who races over. Not the fastest or swift skater. However, she can get the job done. She's just one of those players. One of my favorite players on this team. Whitmore along the boards, who has moves. Cannot use them, though. Back behind they go to set it up as Lily Olvila. Whitmore bodies up with Jocelyn Moore, who flips it ahead. And this one is back up and into the neutral, flipped back out. Offsides averted by the Tanners, and this one goes back down for an icing. So Michelle Roach, and I believe her 7th year behind the bench with her brother Stephen Roach, the assistant coach with Amanda Donahoe. Donahoe, one of the more prominent coaches in the, actually I believe Roach and Donahoe, two very prominent coaches in the Islanders hockey program. One of the most well-known women's hockey programs throughout the entire United States. Trying to finesse it through the stick of a defenseman was Powers, but it ends up getting sticked back down the length of the ice. No icing, as it was a Tanner pass. Oh, taking a hit was Sweeney. She gets up, though. She's all right. Usually she's the one laying the body. Bringing it ahead is Campersall on the pass from Powers. Campy to the middle. Shot blocked into the body of a defenseman. I believe it was Jocelyn Moore. Backhanded along, flipped back out. Oh, here comes Kelleher with a breakaway. She's in. Backhander. Spread eagle save by Elise Muti. My goodness gracious, what a save. Flipped in front and it was deflected wide. Up ahead, Powers trying to split the D. She's got a little room. Backhander, score! Sarah Powers! This kid can do it all, folks. Freshman from Linfield, Massachusetts. It's 2-1 with 8:26 to go in the first. Sarah Powers. She's dangling with the puck, holding it out to her left, and then right at the last second cuts in front. She looked like she's going to go wide and behind. Instead, cuts in front, backhander, and it beats the glove of Watchorn. It's 2-1, Tanner's lead. Goal scored at the 8-minute and 26 mark of the first period from McMahon O'Keefe. Slapper sticked away by Watchorn. Kelleher, very similar to Powers in terms of their playing style. Looking for a coast-to-coast rush, sticked away by Dinapoli. She's so deep in the zone, they got to get back and recoil to avoid an offside, which they do. Lobbed on ahead for Ella Chase. Chase brings it in, stick lifted, and loses possession of the puck. It was lifted by Olvila. Up ahead, glove down, kept in by Gromko. Slaps it on a cross. It is kept in onside by Spack. Penny Spack to the middle. Can't corral. Down low they go. Tanner's making some line changes. Whitmore, make that Steinmeier. Flips it to Pepper. Back to Gromko. Over to Spack. Spack Arista. Shot nearly deflected in by Steinmeier. Back to Gromko, flips it to Penny Spack. Playing two defense pairs, bringing it ahead on the intercept is Abby Powers. No relation to Sarah Powers. Taking a tumble, nearly avoiding a call is Whitman-Hanson. Powers back behind. I will delineate between who's Sarah and who's Abby Powers, folks, don't worry. Back in the zone is Steinmeier. Flipped in, and Muti will instead cover it. No, she will not. She will get rid of it. Usually most officials would have blown the whistle by then. We have 3 linesmen tonight. And even with the official shortage in the state, we do have a bunch of 3 officials out. Powers trying to deke it off the boards. Can't do it. This one goes back down. I thought it went into the bench for a second. Tied up there and taking a tumble, looking for a call. We are not going to get one. Arms of the Tanners went up in disgust, looking for one. Flip off. Here we go. Camper saw all the time in the world, and she missed the net with the shot. She had all the time in the world to do really whatever she wanted with the puck, and she couldn't finish it off. Up ahead, now the Tanners trying to make up for that little miscue. Powers brings it ahead. Deeks, but loses it. No call coming. Campersall dumped off the boards by Olvila. Kept in onside by Catherine Sweeney. These seniors, there are a pretty good number of them. I believe there's 7 seniors. They'd like to end their Tanner's career with a win on home ice. Winner of this game, by the way, will play against either Arlington, ranked 2nd, or Marblehead, ranked 31st. Shot wide and gloved by Muti. It's getting a little chippy out there, folks. So Arlington ranked number 2 after starting out with a sluggish start. They have, I think, rattled off at like 15 consecutive wins or something like that. Usually one of the top teams in the state. They found their game, as many teams did when they started off the season struggling. Against Marblehead, kind of a surprise that they made it into the postseason, an NEC rival of the Tanners. They made it in due to some of the new formula that the MIA is using to rank playoff opponents. We'll get into the playoff rankings in the second period, because I'm going to need some time to discuss that, because it is quite confusing, and it confuses me to this moment still, but I'm going to do my best to explain them. Along the boards, kept in onside by Whitman-Hanson. Tanners just got to get the puck up ice now, because they are allowing Hanson to have a lot of time in the zone. Gromko puts on a few moves, narrowly avoiding offside. Shot blocked by Brenna Hauman. Shot from the point, went wide. Backhand, finesses, can't do it. Up high, Dinapoli at the point, in front, save, rebound, and it goes wide. What a save, Watchhorn. Slapper blocked in the skates. That's got to be like the 6th or 7th block shot for Whitman-Hanson this first period. Into the middle, JD a shot, wide of the net. 4:20 left to go in the first period of round 1 from McMahon O'Keefe. In the middle, Gromko, shot, blocked, rebound, Watchhorn through the screen, is able to stick it away. Up high, Spack, shot, blocked again, this time by Ulvila. JD trying to spin, can't do it. Putting the puck on net is Spack, it goes wide. Gromko flips it to Whitmore. Gromko, drive, blocked again by Abby Powers. Gromko flips it to Whitmore. Shirley Whitmore trying to put on the moves, loses it in her skates. Gromko kept in onside, still onside. She skates high from high to low. Backs up to Whitmore, taking her spot. Shot through the screen, it deflected and it went in. It's Vanessa Steinmeier with her first career playoff goal and wins 3-1. The way they're celebrating, it's Steinmeier on the tip. I think it went off of a couple sticks on its way to the net. And either way, it's 3-1 Tanners in the first period. Vanessa Steinmeier. At least let's see who it was credited to, but the way they celebrated it, that's who was going to be credited with the goal. Along the boards, Campy taking a hit. Here comes Whitman-Hanson to the zone. Brooke Homan brings it in. So it sounds like actually they're going to credit the goal to Chloe Gromko. She had the initial shot. And it definitely hit someone on the way there. I saw it change directions a few times. Here comes Powers. Powers has room. Shoots one and by goal! Sarah Powers! 4-1, 32 seconds after the goal by Gromko. And Powers with their second goal of the afternoon. It's 4-1 Peabody. And they're blowing it open early. At 3:02 left in the first period, Sarah Powers again. Here they come again. JD looks back up. Sweeney off the boards. Kelleher in a race to get it. Can't win it. She shadows Leah Buckley. Backhands it up the boards, kept in onside by Whitman-Hanson. Slapper! And it went wide. Whitman-Hanson coming with some fury, trying to close the gap a little bit, trying to finesse it around. Gromko taking a tumble is a Whitman-Hanson player as Gromko, as if on cue, takes one. Kelleher brings it ahead. Shea Kelleher trying to stick handle her way through, and it won't go. Gromko herself, the younger, takes it in, back along, kept in onside, and she dumps it back down low. Good play by the freshman to keep the puck in the zone. Whitmore with 2 minutes and 5 seconds left to go in the first period. 4-1, Tanners lead, kept in onside by Alexa Pepper, and back down is Vanessa Steinmeier taking a tumble, tied up. Takes a shove from behind is Pepper. Pepper looks, taking her time, no pressure. Gromko to Spack, Penny Spack, a shot, and it deflected. No, it's Penny Spack! We said to watch her in the pregame. And Spack with her first career playoff goal. Spack makes it 5-1 with 1:44 left to go in the first period. For Sadie Watchhorn, unfortunately, she is the only goalie listed on the Whitman-Hanson roster, so she's going to have to stay in and weather the storm. Ava Buckley tied up. Tampersall flips it down low to Ava Buckley. Back is Leah Buckley to play it. 1:18 left to go in the first period of Game 1 of the MIA State Tournament, the round of 32. Into the zone, offside the Tanners as they wave it off and they recoil. Bringing it ahead, Whitman-Hanson to the slot, shot wide off the skate of Catherine Sweeney. Into the middle. Tanners doing exactly what they needed to do to start this game. They needed to score, and they needed to score often. Trouble scoring goals as of late, and they have, I think, solved that issue in this first period. Powers flipped ahead, kept in onside. Ava Buckley, it's still in play. 33 seconds left in the first period of round 1. Onside, slide, and she takes out a Whitman-Hanson player. We're going to get a stoppage. It was a slide by Spack to keep the puck in onside, and I think she took out the player in the process from the skates. So she was down for a moment and popped up to sit up at least. Luckily, she is near her own bench, so if she needs help getting off the ice, that won't be an issue. Looks like she is going for that right knee, so for the moment we're going to step away from the microphone while she is attended to. Can't get a beat on the number of who went down, but out of respect for the players' safety, we are going to step away from the microphone, and I will be back in just a few moments. All right, we are back. The player has skated off the ice under her own power with some assistance from the trainer. We ID'd her as number 12, Brooke Holman. I might be mispronouncing that, but either way, it is number 12 of Whitman-Hanson who went down. It was a harmless play trying to keep the puck in onside by Penny Spack, and the player ended up getting her skates taken up from under her and kind of went airborne and landed hard. And we hope she's all right and hope she can return for Whitman-Hanson, who's already with a short bench. To the middle, Watchhorn with a save, rebound, and Dinapoli can't put it by. Ella Chase was waiting there as well with the initial shot, kept in onside, but barely. So we hit 10 seconds to go in the first period. Clock will wind down. Tanners will just hold it. We'll go to the second period from McMahon O'Keefe. One last shot, one last save by Watchhorn. If it was ever a moral victory in that first period, that last save might be one. But we're going to go to the second period at McVan. Tanners offensive explosion. It looked like it was going to be a close game to start. Campersall with 13:46 left in the first scored the first one. Shea Kelleher with 10:35 left scored the equalizing goal for Whitman-Hanson. And then Sarah Powers, Chloe Gromko, Powers again, and Penny Spack all put tallies of their own on the scoreboard. With that said, we're going to go to the second period in a few moments. We're going to step away from the microphone. We hope you're enjoying this live stream, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with more Division I women's playoff hockey from McMahon O'Keefe in just a few minutes. Welcome back inside McMahon O'Keefe Arena in Peabody, Massachusetts for the second period of this round of 32 game between the Tanners of Peabody, Linfield, North Reading and Whitman-Hanson, Silver Lake. The Tanners come into the period, they are leading 5-1, and they don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. Towards the end of that period, goals came quick and they came fast and furious. Campersall started off the game a minute and 14 in with a goal. Shea Kelleher tied the game at 1. Then answered by Sarah Powers with a goal to make it 2-1. The goal that was credited to Chloe Gromko. We might want to fact check that later in the game, but Gromko 3-1. Sarah Powers with an undisputed beauty goal, making it 4-1, going 5-hole. And then Penny Spack, a goal that also might be disputed, making it 5-1 with 1:44 left in the first. So 3 goals coming in a span of less than 3 minutes for the Tanners. Apologies for sounding winded. I just kind of sprint my way from across the rink up here. Teams will switch ends of the ice. Elise Muty will be down here to our left. Tanners will be going from left to right on your screen in white. And the Whitman-Hanson team will be going from right to left. Or did I can't even remember what I just said 2 seconds ago. But either way, Tanners left to right, Whitman-Hanson right to left. Gotta wonder what we might see Roach do late in the game. I'm guessing for like at least the next period, keep the pressure on with, you know, the big guns on offense, and then maybe in the third period start giving some of the role players some ice time players like Travers or Considine, or I believe we also got players like Lauren Millar, Lily Piscatelli, maybe even get Audrey Buckley in the net. You never know. I mean, they're great 1 and 1A options for the goaltenders for Peabody. They're not. It's not like it's a option 1 and then, or it's not like a plan A and plan B goaltending situation. It's a 1 and 1A situation for the Tanners. Both goaltenders could have started this game. It was a little bit of a surprise to hear that the freshman was getting a start, but she has come through pretty well in good style. It's a somber-looking Whitman-Hanson bench as we were underway. It's just, that's a short bench if I ever saw one. There's only 6 players on the bench, which means that there are 5 on the ice. Shooting over the net, and almost went bar down. That means there's 6 players on the bench, only 5 on the ice, plus the goalie. That means there's only 12 players on the roster total. This Kevin Morani coached team has fought their way to get to this point. And they are not going to, I have no reason to believe they'll go without a whimper. They're going to fight to the very end. It's still early. However, with the way the offense for the Tanners has been clicking, no reason to suspect that they'll let off anytime soon. Here comes Whitman-Hanson. Nice move. I'm guessing it's Kelleher. Probably 2-on-1. Shooting. That went in. Oh, ref, that was in, I think. And Campersall gave Kelleher a shove down to the ice. Goes over to make sure she's all right. And, I'm not convinced that puck was not in the net. You be the judge on that one if you want to rewind the live stream and, you know, keep pausing it at the right moments. But I think that puck may have just barely hugged the inside of the post. Flipping it down low. Abby Powers couldn't get it. Penny Spack, who scored the previous Tanner goal to make it 5-1. Spack using that long reach to play keep away to the middle, and good awareness by Chloe Gromko, an underrated play. She instead of playing it that close to her own net and risking a deflection, she instead jumped out of the way of that puck. And avoiding a call are the Tanners again, so maybe getting away with one there was Hannah Gromko, avoiding a hook potentially. Shot, sticked away by Elise Muty. If there is one difference, like, Buckley is a very sound positional goaltender, makes every save that she needs to make. Muty is, in my opinion, definitely the more athletic of the two. Very much more quick, much more agile. Gromko brings it in, backhands it down low. Here comes Whitman-Hanson, just trying to get it out so they can get it up ice. They proved early in this second period they can get the puck. They can get the puck up ice and put pressure on the Tanner defense. Backhanded up high, down the length of the ice, and it will be an icing. So we mentioned earlier in the first period, we're going to go over some of the rankings, and obviously the MIA is going with the new ranking system this season in terms of strength of schedule. Goal differential was huge, which is why you saw a lot of scores get run up a little bit, for lack of a better phrase. But the strength of schedule has more or less, it has its detractors, it has its supporters. But if you look at some of the records of the teams, for example, the strength of schedule thing kind of hurt the Tanners. We'll get back to that in a second. Here comes Whitman-Hanson through the middle. The slot shot, can't pull the trigger, was Chloe Duff. Shirley Whitmore loses it, sticked away, chipped away. Backhands along the boards, back out. Brooke Homan has returned to the ice after leaving the ice injured late in the first period. Chipped off the boards for Leah Buckley. So that strength of schedule stuff, you'll see there's a lot of teams. Tanners are ranked 15th in Division I right now. There are currently a lot of teams that are ranked ahead of them that have, in terms of wins and losses, worse records than the Tanners. As this one's backhanded into the slot, Leah Buckley is waiting for it though. Looking up ice, chipped off the boards into the corner. Taking a tumble, might have been a trip. Campersaw can't get there in time. Leah Buckley flips it to Catherine Sweeney. Up ice, Powers has to go backwards to go forward. Finds some room. Here comes Sarah looking. She's got two backhands, pokes at it, and that's a boarding call on Whitman-Hanson for sure. Powers down to the ice, but she is up on her feet and skating away, but that is definitely at least a boarding call for Whitman-Hanson. Tanners will go to the power play for the first time this evening, who have struggled to get any traction on the power play as of late. But back to the strength of schedule, you see teams that are ranked higher than Peabody with worse records in terms of wins and losses. Bishop Fenwick, for example, Peabody ranked 15, Bishop Fenwick girls ranked 13 with a 9-9 with a 9-9 and 2 record. Now, normally, if this was going by points and wins and goal differential, they have 55 scored, 50 against, they'd be ranked lower. However, they play in a much historically stronger Central Catholic Central League, which features teams like Austin Prep, St. Mary's, teams that are ranked in the top 5 of the state this season. So if you look at the strength of the competition they're playing against at least twice a year, maybe even 3 if they make the CCL Cup, then that means that they get the boost in the rankings. Also, not to mention the Fenwick Crusaders beat Peabody earlier this season in the Carlin Cup 2-0. Here comes Whitman-Hanson. Deeks looking backhander and a save by Elise Muty. Nice save, but a great move to fight her way by Kelleher. Another team that's ranked higher than Peabody, Methuen-Tewksbury, usually a very strong team under Sarah O'Terry's watch behind the bench, finishing 8-8-4 this season. However, the Merrimack Valley Conference is a very good conference to play in. Andover, Billerica, Chelmsford, great teams that have been very competitive for a few years now. Winthrop also, that's a team that I think probably got, they are an NEC rival of Peabody, and they are number 1 in the conference this year, but that was a team that actually got hurt by the power rankings because they're ranked 16 with a 17-0-1 record. Now, how is that possible? Well, the NEC is not a very strong conference. It's very top-heavy with Peabody and Winthrop at the top, and as of recent, teams like Beverly Danvers, even Newburyport to an extent. Shot, save, rebound, score! Gromko on the doorstep! Both Gromko sisters getting in on the fun. 6-1, a power play goal. Hannah Gromko with a goal of her own. Hugs all around from sister Chloe as the line changes up. Took them a little bit longer in the second period than it did in the first. But either way, it is 6-1. Tanners with a power play goal. Parked on the doorstep was Hannah Gromko, a place where she makes a living. But yeah, Sweeney brings it. Sweeney to the slot, looking, shot, deflected, save, rebound. It won't go, and finally bunted home. Tanners make it 7-1. With 2 goals in a matter of 19 seconds. on the goal. Didn't see who got it. We'll wait to see who gets it from the PA announcer. It was the third line of Peabody out. Anna Gromko chips it back to Leah Buckley. So it will be Whitmore's goal, number 12 of Peabody. Shirley Whitmore, a freshman, with a goal. The kids getting in on the game this evening. 3 freshmen have scored so far. Powers, Chloe Gromko, and now Shirley Whitmore. This is a team that is not going anywhere. They said before the season, is that Tanner NEC dynasty dead? Well, they were mistaken. Here comes JD through the slot. Body down from behind. No call coming. Catherine Sweeney around behind. Bodied off the puck, just has to flip it in to avoid an offside, and now they recoil finally. Nope, now they get back on side. Sarah Powers, Ava Buckley, and Katie Campersall are the forwards. Leah Buckley and Catherine Sweeney are the defense. Drive, slap shot into the skates of Leah Buckley. Catherine Sweeney over to get it. Flipped down low by Whitman-Hanson. Ref got to get out of the way there. Looking, front of the net, almost deflected in off Buckley. Muty, scrum at the front of the net, trying to backhand it on, and it wouldn't go. Tanner's collapsing in front of the net. Muty has to go down to make the save, and Kelleher gives Sweeney a chop with the stick after the play. Sweeney pleading her case. And it is getting chippy here in Peabody with 8:20 to go in the second period of round 1 from Peabody, Mass. Tanner's leading 7-1 already. So now we see Chloe Considine, Mia Lava, I'm so sorry. That's one of those names I'm going to screw up. And Lauren Millar. So already Roach putting more of her bench players on the ice. Considine, however, not really a bench player. She played the entire last season during the pandemic-shortened 13-game season on the team's third line, centering it, and scored a few goals of her own. So a player with skill. Mia sends it up the boards. Looking, loses it. Flipped to Considine. Good to see that the Tanner hockey cheer team is here, usually at men's games. However, with the junior varsity schedule, they have also added the women's team to their repertoire. Oh, here comes Whitman-Hanson. Shot off the shoulder of Elise Muty through a screen. I don't think she saw it coming. She just kind of shrugged it off. 7:25 to go in the second period. I believe if the score remains where it is, when we get to the third period, we will get to running time. I believe it's like a 6-goal gap in the third period if the refs will just start running the clock without a stoppage. Here comes Whitman, looking, dekes her way through, can't pull the trigger on the shot, was Caitlin Dilly. Lauren Millar getting extended ice time, trying to chip it off the boards to one of the Peabody High School seniors. Or the Peabody Tanner seniors, not a Peabody native, excuse me. Chloe Gromko puts on the brakes and dekes her out. Gromko is back, flips up to Chloe Considine, down the length of the ice. Will it go for an ice? No, it will not. It is waved off. Spack kept in on side. Penny Spack with the deke. Penny Spack to the slot, and it's knocked away at the last second. Back down the length of the ice, getting it is Chloe Gromko. Gromko spins. Can't chip it away. This is the chance for Whitman-Hanson. Looking, drops it back. Shot from the point. Losing it. Sticked away. It's a 2-on-1. Spack with Whitmore and offside. Oh, that could have been catastrophic. Breakdown of defensive coverage for Whitman-Hanson. So 5 goals scored in the first period for the Tanners. We've seen 2 so far in the second. It's 7-1, 6:13 left in the second period. It's in the neutral zone. Leah Buckley back in her own zone. Steinmeier dumps it off the boards. Alexa Pepper races in with it. Not winning the race. Whitman-Hanson gets to it. Whitman-Hanson, they've got some players that can move with speed. Dumped off the boards. What a beautiful play to the slot. Looking at a save made by Muty. Whitman's getting the puck to the net. Brooke Holman with the shot. And we're going to get a call on someone. Behind the play, it is Alexa Pepper to the box. 2 minutes, and the call is a hook. And I know I just heard someone call my name, but I don't know where it's coming from. I like to have a little fun with the broadcast, folks, as you can see. So a 2-minute penalty for the Tanners. To the power play goes Whitman-Hanson, trying to just get something going. Kelleher takes her time. Kelleher dishes it up high. Looking. They're probably going to go her way. What did I tell you? Kelleher looking up high. Slapper! Gloved by Muty. So Sarah Powers, Jenna Dinapoli, Catherine Sweeney, and Leah Pepper, Leah Buckley are the 4 forwards, as actually on cue, JD and Powers head off. Hannah Gromko and Katie Campersall come on. So if you are tuned in from the town of Linfield, Mass, just know that I did talk to some of the players in the intermission. Linfield men's hockey team, after completing a spectacular Division III season, currently I think ranked 3rd in Division III, will open their playoff run here at McMahon on Saturday at noon, I believe the time is. Here comes Whitman-Hanson, looks, knocked off by the stick of Catherine Sweeney. Campersall was debating whether she was going to take it herself or dump it, and we're going to get a tripping call. Nope, never mind. I saw the arm go up, and I didn't know whether it was going to be a trip or not. He was calling for an offside. Whitman, shot, blocked off the shin pad of Sweeney with 52 seconds on the power play to remain. Here they look, looking, taking their time. Kelleher up high, flips it, up high again. Kelleher, slapper, and Ovechkin likes one-timer, and a sprawling save by Elise Muty. I think Roach is breathing a sigh of relief knowing that the future of her goaltending position is secured with her performance this afternoon. Or should I say this evening at this point. 4 minutes left to go in the second period, 15 to go on the power play. To the middle. They were making a change. That's too many men on the ice. They couldn't get off the ice in time, and that's just a mental lapse right there for Whitman-Hanson. This is what happened, folks. If you couldn't see, you might want to go back and maybe rewind after I do the explanation here. What happened was the puck was coming back to the point. It was an attempted clear by the Tanners. They went back. The player going off the ice for Whitman turned at the last second and decided to play the puck as her replacement was coming on the ice. That right there means it's a too many men on the ice penalty. The player coming on for Whitman-Hanson tried to scurry off as fast as she could to avoid the penalty, but those eagle-eye refs managed to catch it in time. So it will be a Tanner power play in 7 seconds for 1:53 when the Whitman-Hanson power play expires. So it is 4-on-4 for at least 7 seconds. They have to put someone in the box, and it's going to be Jackie Higgins for Whitman-Hanson. So a rare penalty, a too many men on the ice call. Too many men on the ice. If you're a Bostonian and you love the Bruins and you were kids, if you're sitting at home and maybe with maybe even your father, but maybe your grandfather, and they're Bruins fans, ask them about too many men on the ice, and they'll say Montreal Forum, shot off the glove and trickles wide. They'll say Montreal Forum, 1979. They'll know what they'll know what they're talking about. This one's cleared, and we get an ice. That's 1979, Game 7 of the conference finals between the Bruins and Montreal. They, as we get a conference between the officials and some of the players. Remember that time? The Bruins were winning 4-3 over Montreal, chance to go to the finals. Team that whatever won that series was likely going to win the cup. They ended up going to overtime because Don Cherry put too many men on the ice for the Bruins, and I know my mom's listening at home, and I know she knows who Guy Lafleur is, and he lets go a rocket that ties the game. They go to overtime, and Yvon Lambert scores in overtime and sends Montreal to the finals. But that too many men on the ice penalty can just be the death of some teams. JD flips it back to Chloe Gromko with a minute 40 on the power play, tiptoeing the line, keeping it on sides. Powers flip to the front. What a save! Rebound and scores! Another power play goal for the Tanners. I believe it is Chloe Gromko, or excuse me, Hannah Gromko who got it, and it sure enough is. So Hannah Gromko with her second goal of the evening, and it's 8-1 Tanners with 3:24 to go in the second period. Excuse me, another power play goal for the blue and white. This is one of 3 Division I games being played tonight. Just a few moments before this game started, number 10 Hingham started their game versus number 23 Newton North. And then later tonight at 7 p.m. in less than 45 minutes, it will be Shrewsbury, number 6 ranked, against Auburn, number 27th ranked. The rest of the games will begin tomorrow and run through Saturday. Spack trying to dish it to the slot, can't do it. Flipped around behind. As this one is back to Whitman-Hanson. As here comes Shirley Whitmore up the wing. Whitmore dekes and keeps it in onside, but Whitman-Hanson answers. Tanner's just got to keep the puck in. Gromko shot from up high, blocked down in front. Scrum for the puck along the wall with 2:34 to go in the second period from the van. Whitman-Hanson dumped off the boards and around behind. So the Tanners, with a victory tonight, will play against Arlington or Marblehead. Game to be played within the next few days. We've got 4 days of first-round playoff games, I believe it is. Maybe a 5th. Tanners looking to advance further in this postseason tournament than they ever have, and taking a tumble down. No call coming. Kelleher gets up. Flipped back out. And before we go to intermission, we will recap some of the Tanners playoff runs of recent memory, that is, before we put down the microphone for the second intermission. Just to fill some of the air time. 135 left to go in the second. From her knees, a backhander around behind, Leah Buckley. Or excuse me, that's Pepper. Front to Buckley. Trying to get around behind. It's Powers. Sarah Powers to the slot off the stick of Chloe Gromko. Or Ava Buckley, excuse me. Catherine Sweeney. I know one of them is watching. I think the other one might be watching, but shout out to my mother at home watching the game. As Campersall fights her way by. Shot over the net and wide. And I think she's watching the game, but hello to my girlfriend Maddie, who might be watching this right now. Just want to give her a shout out. Catherine Sweeney sticks it back in. And we get a whistle, and I'm guessing an offside. So 41 seconds left to go in the second period. Just to recap some of the past playoff runs the Tanners have had, at least since Roach was hired. I believe 2016-17, they played Arlington round 1. And they lost 5-1, I believe it was, if not 5-0. So if they win tonight, they'll be looking to avenge that loss against number 2 Arlington Spy Ponders. 2017-18, my first year announcing games for the network. They lost to St. Mary's 2-0 in Lynn. Next year, beat Winthrop round 1, avenged their loss to St. Mary's, beat them round 2, before losing to Methuen-Tewksbury, the eventual state champions that year in 2018-19. 1920, they beat, I believe it was Plymouth North and South, here on McMahon Ice in round 1, before falling 3-0 to Boston Latin in round 2. No playoffs, obviously, last season due to the pandemic. Some teams, some conferences played in-conference tournaments. The NEC did not have one. And then the Tanners have rolled through the regular season this year with some road bumps along the way, but what's new? JD skirts the line, brings it into the slot, just gently skates in. 1 second, we go to the second intermission. And we might get a penalty to start the third period, but either way, we're going to the third. Tanners winning 8-1. Just before we go to the intermission, some facts of note. The Tanners came into this game. They tied their team's season record in wins with 15 with a 1-0 win over number 9 ranked HPNA on the final day of the season. They probably would have broken their single season record had they not lost to Bishop Fenwick in the Carlin Cup game. Fenwick's first cup win in quite some time. They lost 2-0. If you look at the reason the Tanners are ranked 15 right now, not maybe higher, is if you look at obviously the NEC is, for lack of a better phrase, a weak division with the top heavy teams. The teams that they lost to this season are teams that are some of the best in the state of Massachusetts. You have Winthrop finishing 17-0-1. The only blemish on their record was from Peabody tying them here 2-2 on McMahon Ice. You have Bishop Fenwick, they lost 2-0 to. They're ranked higher as a result of also playing in the very competitive CCL. They lost to Winthrop 1-0 on Winthrop Ice, so that factored into it as well. And then they lost to the 12-7-1 Malden Catholic Lancers here at McMahon 3-1, who are ranked higher than Peabody. So those are the blemishes on their record, and that's what's keeping them at the 15th slot. However, they were just able to get the home playoff game due to being ranked in the top 16. We'll be right back after this short break, whereas the Zamboni redoes the ice. They're probably going to do running time in the third period with an 8-1 lead, and the Tanners sure are looking like they're going to be playing Arlington or Marblehead next round. So we'll be back in just a moment. I'm Bernie Peretzy with my camera operator Rafael Enriquez, doing an outstanding job. Thank you to everyone at Peabody TV for helping put this together, and we'll be right back. Well, folks, it's the beginning of the final period from Peabody, Massachusetts, the final period of hockey that will be played on McMahon O'Keefe ice this season, as after this, the playoffs will move to neutral sites. Taking the ice are the Whitman-Hanson Silver Lake team, and not too far behind them are the Peabody, Linfield, North Reading Tanners. So, looking into this third period, I hate to be that kind of guy to say it, but, Tanners are going to be rolling on to the second round. They're winning 8-1. They have scored 7 unanswered goals after. Let's recap the scoring for those of you just now tuning in. Katie Campersall with 13:46 left in the first period, only a minute 14 in, made it 1-0. But just less than 3 minutes later, Shea Kelleher for Whitman-Hanson made it 1-1 on a beautiful goal. After that, Sarah Powers, Chloe Gromko, Sarah Powers again, Penny Speck concluded the first period to make it a 5-0 game, or 5-1 game, excuse me. After that, the Tanner power play got some traction and went to work. Power play goals by Hannah Gromko, and then a third goal by Shirley Whitmore to make it 8-1. So Tanners are getting contributions from everywhere on offense. It's been mostly freshmen getting in on the fun too. You got Powers, Gromko, and Whitmore, all young talent that are proving they have earned their right to play in this tournament. And I'll be honest, if they keep clicking the way they have, moving the puck through the defenses, they are a team that could be a sleeper this season. They got teams in the top 5 like Austin Prep. I covered them for much of the season. 126 goals scored, only 9 allowed. 22-0. Might be one of the best teams I've ever seen assembled. You got St. Mary's Lynn ranked 3rd by virtue of the fact that they play in a very competitive conference at 12-7. That would usually rank them somewhere middle of the pack. You got Notre Dame Academy Hingham. You got Arlington. So you got some powers, some traditional powers up there. The Tanners, not the traditional power, but as of late they have been, however. As Tanners win the draw, Catherine Sweeney flips it to Hannah Gromko. So the Tanners look going with the heavy set. Ella Chase, Jenna Dinapoli, and Hannah Gromko the line to start, rather than Campersall, Ava Buckley, and Sarah Powers. Gromko and Powers, Hannah Gromko that is, and Sarah Powers with 2 goals each. Most dominant game that the Tanners have had all season, deked around by Caitlin Dilly. Looking, twirling, backhands it along, but Hannah Gromko intercepts, stays on her feet, flipped back into the neutral, and taken by Brenna Homan. Brenna Homan takes it off the boards to Lily Ovila. Back behind the net they go just to set something up. Hannah Gromko yet again. And here comes Ava Buckley. Buckley, a steady contributor as a freshman this season from Peabody, Mass, with her sister Leah, who made a big dent in the lineup midway through the season. Sweeney to Campersall. So they're keeping their big guns out for the most part. Campy with Gromko. Nope, Lauren Millar is on the ice in place of Sarah Powers. Actually, no, they're going with 4 forwards. Sarah Powers up at the defense spot. Ava Buckley, Lauren Millar, and Katie Campersall the forwards, with Catherine Sweeney back on defense. Flipped up ahead. Millar loses it. Millar, a senior, shot and save made by the now in-net senior, Audrey Buckley. Buckley making her appearance, as many expected, with the lead this much, and a poke in front, give and go, and Whitman-Hanson has made it 8-2. So finally, their first goal in just about a half hour of hockey, with 12:59 to go in the third. Whitman-Hanson puts one on the board. So it's 8-2, Tanner's lead now. Something good to bring home to mom and dad, of course. In the middle slot, and what a shot and what a save. Whitmore into the gut of Watchorn. Tanner's on the draw, back behind. Flip to the back up high. Shot by Spack. Deflected. Save Watchorn. Penny Spack, the soon-to-be veteran of that defensive group. Here comes Powers. Nope, make that Steinmeier, but she lost it. I keep getting Powers and Steinmeier confused simply because they both go with the jersey tuck, and they wear numbers 10 and 11, so that one is kind of obscured from view for a second. Both still incredibly talented players. Across, Whitmore. Surely Whitmore is the player, I think, besides Sarah Powers, I'm most excited to see for the next few years in a Tanner uniform. She's got that kind of hidden speed level that, you know, she can tap into at any point. I've seen her make some moves this season that I have not seen any hockey player make on some of the top teams in this state. She's a player with so much potential to unlock, and it comes through in flashes. It's just a matter of time before she breaks through. Mia Lava, Chloe Considine, and Lily Piscatelli, the senior from North Reading, Mass, are on the ice. What a move by Kelleher, backhander, and a save made by the kid they call Buck. Audrey Buckley, the North Reading senior, comes through with the save. I think she lost it in her own pads for a second there. The ref has to find it after she shakes it out. Pardon the hiccup in your ears, folks. I have been yelling for the majority of the evening. On the draw, back to Whitman-Hanson. Just trying to put some form of pressure on to get something going. With 11:42 to go in the regulation period. Back behind, taking it for the Tanners. One of their defense flipped up the wall. JD in the middle of the ice. JD being Jenna Dinapoli from North Reading, Mass. Some of the upcoming games to watch. Austin Prep will take on Ursuline Academy. The winner of that game will take on, I think, either Winthrop or I forget who, but it's likely going to be Austin Prep versus Winthrop, and that is a game I want circled on my calendar. 22-0 versus 17-0-1. So we'll see who really is the true heavyweight of the state of Massachusetts. What a move by Kelleher, taking it herself along the boards. Shea Kelleher to the middle, a shot, shrugged off by Buckley. Back up high to Kelleher, playing the point. Shrugged down, JD. Here she comes, just trying to get through. Gets back on side. As here comes Whitman-Hanson, lost it, nearly poked away by Campersall, kept in on side. Looking, Campy, drive. Save made on the pads of Watchorn. Up wrapped around, flipped down the length of the ice. It tilts wide, and we get an icing. I went to a couple of Winthrop games this season, one for Peabody, and then the other one I was filming a video for the Winthrop women's hockey team. And I got to admit, I really liked what I saw out of them. They were an outstanding team. That's a testament to the coaching of Butch Martucci, has molded a team that I think won like 8-6 a couple of years ago or something like that, to a 13-0-1 team last year. In the pandemic year, to a 17-0-1 team this season. That is a testament to the good coaching ability of those players, of those coaches, and those players are good. The Holmes sisters, the triplets, Emma, Julia, I forget the last one's name, but they are outstanding. The Martucci sisters are great. Summer talent and net has been superb. Flip to the front and a scrum. It goes wide. A couple players taking a tumble, and it looked like I think Abby Powers wanted to get into something there with Ava Buckley. They looked like a pretty decent team, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with because they are a young team. They're only losing, I think, like 3 or 4 seniors. So the NEC battles between Peabody and Winthrop are only going to intensify with the coming years. Tanners, when they come to losing talent to graduation, I mean, they're only losing a couple players that played full-time roles in the lineup. Catherine Sweeney and Audrey Buckley, shot, save, rebound, a save, Watchorn, and she couldn't find it. And we get a scrum at the net, but Watchorn has it underneath. Now, I have a bit of a feeling, for some reason, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to confirm this, maybe in the comments of this YouTube stream, but because Watchern's wearing a number 3, she's not, you know, I'm guessing, I would put money she might not have been a goalie, as right off the draw she makes the save. I'll put money she might, I'm willing to bet she might not have been a goalie to start the season. They needed one and they asked her to play. I make this assumption because there is a team in the NEC this season that did not have a number 2 goalie to start the season, and they needed someone to back up when a player got hurt, and they asked, I think it was Jamie Dupont or something like that, to take over, and she became one of the best goalies in the NEC with her play. She's a forward who was leading the league in scoring at one time, also leading it in goals and save percentage and such. Either way, all considered, I mean, for a player that you know, she might not be a goalie, she's actually played the score. I mean, it might be 8-2, but she has made some pretty good saves this evening. So, as the Tanners are going to go on the penalty kill, Penny Spack to the box. What a turnaround this Tanner program has had. Every year, they're expected to regress because they keep losing players. They lose players after 2018, like Sarah Buckley, Katie Purcell. They just keep losing players left and right, and you keep expecting them to regress. Next year, they lose players like they win 15 games, and then they lose players like I think Abby Buckley. They lose a few. They lose quite a few. That's all I can remember. And then they go 12-1 in a pandemic, or excuse me, 14-5-1, and then they lose goalie Jenny Collins. They lose Carolyn Garofoli, backhanded to the front, and it comes back out. They lose Sammy Mirasolo, the team's all-time leading scorer. And you think they're going to rest? Nope, 12-1 the next year. They lose Carolyn Garofoli, Jen Flynn, Chloe Shapley, Paige Thibodeau, Elise Staunton, some of the players who were the reasons this team was rebuilt from the ashes. And what do you know? They go 15 wins, 4 losses, 1 tie. Powers brings it through. Powers tied up there by, I believe it is Kelleher. It sure enough is. 7:48 to go in the game. Tanners with 1 minute and 7 seconds to go on the penalty kill. Nice to see down to my right. I think the Bishop Fenwick Crusaders are, the men's team is getting ready for practice. I think they play Belmont in Belmont for their first round playoff game this upcoming Friday, I believe. Backhanded up. It's for any of the critics who said that Roach came into this program with a roster that had a lot of really good players in the pipeline, and that was the reason for success. This is a criticism I heard, as this one's dumped out and just wide. It almost went in, shot, and it's save made. Campersall looking for her second. Flip down low behind. Campersall chases, ties her up along the boards. Kicked out by Caitlin Dilly. Brought back up ice by Kendall Peterson. Peterson flips it across. Tied, flipped out, takes a bounce off the stanchion. Here's Campersall, number 3, brings it, looking, spins. Flips it down low. Dilly flips it to Kelleher. Kelleher fakes behind and goes in front. Power play is over. Shea Kelleher brings it, looking, backhands wide of the net. Any critic who said that Roach was simply inheriting a team that had a lot of talent in the pipeline, or was the beneficiary of joining the Peabody Linfield team with North Reading, pretty safe to say they can eat their own words, because the way she has maintained, not only attained this level of success in terms of record, but also been able to maintain it. That is the key part right there. Attaining success is one thing, maintaining it is another. She loses players every single season, and you think, oh boy, this team's going down the tubes finally. Nope. They continue to prove the entire state hockey community wrong. Players graduate, players transfer to prep schools, yet the Tanners continue to strive on in an era where, for public high school teams, it's getting increasingly more difficult to be competitive, because players leave for private prep academies, players leave for Catholic schools, private schools. The Tanners, that's a tale they know all too well. Players like in the past, like Sadie Guerin, Maria Pierce, Ella McTeague, players who were poised to be stars for the Tanners, they all left for private academies, and they're all thriving, as a matter of fact. As here comes Lily Olvila. Ovila lost it. JD with 2 players on her. Deekson finds her way through a few defensemen. Looking shot wide of the net with 5 minutes left to go in the game. Into the middle, shot way high and way wide. 8-2, Tanners are leading. 6 different goal scorers have dented the scoreboard for the Tanners. Glove down out of the air by Sarah Powers, who is out with Mia Lava, Jenna Dinapoli, and I believe that's Lily Piscatelli. Pisky brings it off the board. She brings it in. Can't fight her way through. She was just trying to dump it in deep so she could get off for a change. Flipped up high. Powers settles it down. Looking. Chips it over. She'll probably go off for a change in a moment. Daniela White is on the ice, number 18. Taking a fight her way through, and I don't think that's a penalty. I think that's incidental contact, but regardless, they're going to call a hook. And to the box goes Hannah Gromko. So it is not running time, actually. 4:09 left to go in the final period. Tanners leading 8-2. It's just a testament to player development as well. Hannah Gromko was a gritty skater with some offensive skill, and she has really molded into an all-around solid forward. You got Penny Spack, who, a natural defenseman, played her entire freshman year at forward, didn't see much playing time, moved back to defense as a sophomore, and this season has really emerged as one of the NEC's best. You've got Whitmore, Powers, and Chloe Gromko, all freshmen, all scoring, all contributing throughout the season. Taking a tumble. How was that not a trip? You're going to call it. You got to call it both ways, ref. Up high. Shot. Gloved by Audrey Buckley. 3:50 to go in regulation. With 1:42 left on the power play for Whitman-Hanson. So Whitman-Hanson, they are wearing Silver Lake colors, however, with the red, white, and silver. I think the Silver Lake men's team actually had a very good season this year. Winning the race is Campy on the shorthanded kill. Campy trying to flip it to the slot. Shot from Gromko, glove down by Caitlin Dilly. Bringing it up ahead, here they come. Offside is called. Here comes Campersall through the middle of the ice, across center ice. Campy, Deekson, she lost it. Campy with all players back at the blue, waiting for the inevitable push up ice by Whitman-Hanson. Back around behind by Dilly to Kelleher. Kelleher flips it up. Intercepted by Chloe Gromko. Gromko looks, a shot one that was off the stick of Caitlin Dilly. JD ties up with Homan. Kelleher, shadowed by JD, sticked away by Chloe Gromko. Shot and another save, Audrey Buckley. So 2:40 left in the third period with 32 seconds to go on the power play for Whitman-Hanson. On the draw, Hanson wins it, flipped, shot blocked right into the shin pads of Vanessa Steinmeier, who races back down to cover her up. Along the boards behind, backhanded up ice, taken by Chloe Duff. Duff lost it as she tried to deke around the approaching Alexa Pepper. So in 2 minutes and 15 seconds, the Tanners will go on to play the winner of Arlington Marblehead. Number 2 versus number 31 ranked. As we get an offside called on Whitman as the power play has come to an end. And with 2 minutes and 2 seconds left, Tanners winning 8-2. Couldn't get a confirmation on who scored the second Whitman-Hanson goal, so for the fans at home who are watching, I do apologize. Bringing it up ice, but taking a tumble is Hannah Gromko. This might be, dare I say, the best Tanner team they've had in a couple years, or maybe ever. Daniela White bringing it on. She's likely going to be a big contributor in the future if she develops on the blue line. Dinapoli calling out instructions, yelling for them to settle the puck. Likely to be named a captain, I'm guessing, in the upcoming season, as both Buckley and Catherine Sweeney will be graduating, as this one is gloved by Watchorn. The lines will change up. Tanner's third line comes out, and I'm guessing they will, or Tanner's fourth line, excuse me. This is Mia Lava, Chloe Considine, and Lily Piscatelli are out with Catherine Sweeney and Sarah Powers on defense. So Roach trying out some new things with a speedy forward like Powers on D. Can be potentially a game changer. You know, you expect the defenseman to stay up with the blue line. Well, with the way Powers plays, she can easily take the puck in herself. Kind of a puck-moving defenseman. Powers flips it to Sweeney. Sweeney looks, and a shot. Save, Watchorn, rebound, and the glove is quick, and Brenna Holman gives her a shove from behind. Holman gave Leva a shot from behind, and they're going to let her stay on the ice. I got to say, I'm a little surprised by that. That was well after the whistle. Under a minute to go from McMahon O'Keefe and Peabody, Mass. Whitman-Hanson just trying to make one more push up ice. Trying to show that they are not going to go without one last defiant roar. 38 seconds to go in a Tanner season that has thus far defied all expectations or logic. 12-1 in the pandemic year. The group that helped rebuild this team from the ashes graduated as seniors off to college. Well, actually, we'll get to that in a second. Powers brings it in. Sarah Powers drops it back. Shot from up high. Flutters down into the glove of Watchorn with 13.6 to go. So the post-game Selly will have to wait for at least a few more seconds. Piskey, Millar, Kayla Griffin, one of the captains, doesn't see much playing time, is on the ice. Powers will come off and place a Campersall. This team has continued to, year after year, defy all logic, all expectations. Just when you think they're finally out of the fight, they get up off the canvas and they come out swinging with fury. 15-4-1 will move to 16-4-1. Shot deflected, and Sweeney! Catherine Sweeney in her final game. Why not get in on the fun with 6.6 left in the game? Takes a bow for the appreciative Tanner crowd. They're never out of the fight. Tanner's final score, 9-2 from McVan. That'll do it. Last game of the season from McMahon O'Keefe comes to an end. A long spring waits for Whitman-Hanson, and Peabody will move on to round 2 for the third consecutive playoff year. And we'll play Arlington or Marblehead in round 2. What an evening it has been for not only Peabody, Linfield, North Reading Tanners, but for Peabody, Linfield, North Reading hockey as a whole. So before as we look at, actually, let's do the post-game press. Tanners, I got to pick player of the game. Not a goal scorer, funny enough. I'm picking Elise Muti as my player of the game for the Tanners, the freshman goaltender who started it out, played spectacularly, conceding only one goal in the first period. And then after that, it takes skill and determination to step into a role as a freshman in a playoff game and come through the way she has. And Whitman-Hanson did not go lightly. They kept their foot on the gas as much as they could as the game went along, and they continued to get shots even though that the loss was in hand. But yeah, player of the game for me, Elise Muti. So she will likely get the start in whatever the next game is against either Arlington or Marblehead. Will be played at a neutral site, I believe, as all MIA playoff games, I believe, after round one are played at neutral sites. But before we go to, before we sign off this broadcast, I just wanted to, this is something I wanted to do after, this is something I wanted to obviously briefly say before, at the end of the last game I announced. Obviously, the Peabody community, the Peabody athletic community, the football team specifically lost a true legend this past season. Lou Sosimo, the longtime announcer for Peabody High School football, passed away. I had the privilege of working with him a few times over the past couple of years, and if there was ever a man who was a pure joy and a consummate professional to work with, it was him. I learned so much from him as an announcer, and he was just such a good person in general to anyone who spoke to him up in that booth. The press box is dedicated to him for a reason at the high school. That seat will never quite feel the same. I hope they don't. I hope they keep a seat up there for him all the time. There's a chair sitting behind me, and I liked to think tonight that he never did hockey, but I'd like to think that whenever I do announce games now, that he's over my shoulder watching and making sure that I'm doing a good job. Lou, if there's any chance that your family's watching, we love you and we miss you. That booth will never feel the same again without you, and hopefully one day we'll see each other again, and we hope that you're in a good place announcing the games up there with some of the legends of football. With that said, I'm Bernie Parisi for maybe the final time this season from McMahon O'Keefe Arena, signing off. Final score from McMahon: Tanners 9, Whitman-Hanson 2. The second round of the playoffs await, and it is going to get interesting.